Hi, everybody. How are you guys? This Facebook Live will last about 30 minutes, and we're going to talk about a technology and stress. As a special guest, I have a Swedish certified coach, mental trainer, NLP practitioner, speaker, and writer, and an expert in technology. If the sound is okay, please thumbs up or comment below. If you want to find out more about our next Facebook Lives, I'm going to put the link on the Facebook Live so you can join and subscribe so you have all the information about it. Most of our Facebook Lives are in Spanish, however, sometimes they're in English. I want to remind you that my company, Excede tu Potencial, has the purpose of helping companies minimizing the effects of the invisible enemy that is stress, and they're responsible for many company issues. As a transformational and stress management coach, I help successful professionals to release their inner mental jail built throughout life so they can find the balance and fulfillment they're looking for. And today, I am so honored to have my friend and special guest, Oscar Andermo. Oscar is a Swedish certified coach, mental trainer, NLP practitioner, a speaker, writer, and technology expert. He currently lives in Dubai and is the regional VP for Helms Briscoe in the Middle East, the biggest venue finder in the world. He is the founder of Strategic Tech Coaching, a coaching methodology that mixes coaching with technology. He is the author of Smartphone Coaching System, which outlines tools and strategies to find greater success in business by utilizing your smartphone. So, Oscar, it's a pleasure to have you here today. Could you share something about yourself with the audience, please?
Yes, sure. Yeah. Hi, everyone. So I'm from Sweden, but I live in Dubai since 2007. So I've been in Dubai for many, many years. And we had the pleasure to meet last year at the Congress of Excellence in Sweden, which was a great event that we both attended. So no, just a little bit about this technology and coaching that I am very passionate about. And basically, my whole life I've been interested in personal development and these kind of things. And I realized something quite early on in this journey, that a lot of people read books, they study, they take courses, but they don't implement. So you can read a nice book. Like I read a nice book, and then the next year I took out the book again, and I realized I haven't done anything. I didn't do anything. I underlined everything in the book, but I hadn't actually implemented what was in the book. So a couple of years ago, I started using technology to implement these principles into my daily life, and that's when you can actually see a change. Because knowing theory is one thing, and you're also certified in mental training, correct?
Yeah, correct. That's right.
Professor Unuso like to say that for example, knowing about meditation doesn't help you. It's doing the meditation that helps you. So it's the application of these things. So, and just a short story, I did a lot of blog posts for iPhone Life, which is an American magazine on technology, and I did a lot of blog posts about how to use technology for personal development. But a couple of years ago, the most popular post was a post I wrote on how not to use technology.
Oh, so really? That's interesting.
in a magazine for technology.
About technology.
Exactly. So that's when I started to realize that there's actually a negative side to technology, and there's a lot of stress that comes with this, because this is something that is with us at all times. So we need to learn to use it in a good way instead of a bad way, basically. So that's exactly a little bit background about this.
Yeah. No, and I completely agree with you. And I think it happens the same with stress. That stress is neither positive or negative. It depends on the power we give it to it. And we can make stress work for us and not against us, as does technology.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm seeing many people. Ramiro Ponce is here. It's a pleasure having you here. He's from Guatemala. He's a coach as well in Guatemala. So it's a pleasure having you here. And I want to ask the audience, so we can start to go more in depth with this technology topic that we're discussing today, is I want to ask you guys, how do you deal with fear? Can you share and write in the comment section below, how do you deal with fear when you're afraid about something? especially nowadays. I think every day is a challenge with this lockdown. What fears have come up in your life, and how are you dealing with them? Or are you, for you, it's too difficult to deal with them? So comment and share with us. And while you do that, I want to ask Oscar, like, I, I want to start the topic talking about fear versus worry.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
how do you deal? Let's talk first about fear that we are asking the audience. How do we deal with it?
Yeah. So I think about 3 billion people are locked down at the moment. And when we talk about technology, it's quite easy to just spend hours and hours watching the news. And if you put on the news, there's not going to be that much positive stories. Doesn't matter which news channel you watch or where in the world you watch. I watch Swedish news, I watch American news, I watch Japanese news, I watch news from all over the world, and it's negative, negative, negative. So it's quite easy to get into a state of fear. And for me, fear is meant to be brief. Fear is meant to be an action signal. Fear is meant to be like, okay, something is wrong. Now let's act on it. It's when you ruminate on the fear, that's when the worry kicks in. When you start like visualizing all these negative things, and it becomes you contemplate all this stuff, and that's when you start to worry. When you worry, 24/7, then yeah, you know all about stress. That's not good for your system. So the fear can turn into worry if you ruminate about it. But when you get the sensations of fear, when your reptile brain is hijacked by all this negativity, you need to realize that that's an action signal. Okay, what can I do? First, is this within my control, or is it outside of my control, or is it something I can influence? And that's the first thing, if it's outside of my control, why should I worry about it? So that's the way I look at it. And then there's a lot of ways to deal. I mean, this is the theory. But when your brain gets hijacked by the fear and you start to worry, there's a lot of different techniques that you can use to let go of the worry. Because, I mean, we are not rational, 100% rational at all times. It's not like, oh, okay, now this negative.
Nothing is
Yeah,
happening.
exactly. So we can use different techniques to work with this. And I mean, there's some different techniques in mental training and NLP and coaching and all this. And I like to use. I have many different ways, but technology can actually be a tool for good as well. And one thing that is different nowadays than before is that we choose what content we consume.
Exactly.
When I grew up, I don't know how it was in Guatemala, but when I grew up, there was 2 channels, and that was it. You were watching the basically the broadcaster picked what you were watching.
Yeah, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 channels.
Was it private, like the government channels, or was it like
There were
companies?
no, there were companies.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
2 channels were from the same company. The other 2 channels were from the other company, and then the other one from the military. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for when I grew up, the 2 channels we had in Sweden were the government channels, and then a third channel came a little bit when I was a little bit older. That was like a private channel. So basically, when we can choose the content we consume, you can spend the next hour watching Fox News, watching CNN, watching RT, watching whatever news channel you want. And what are they going to tell you? They're going to tell that the world is falling apart.
Yeah.
Or you can turn off the news and you can put on watch some stand-up comedy on Netflix. You can watch a comedy. You can laugh. You can learn something. You can, start learning
Yeah, how
Spanish.
can you learning Spanish? That's great.
Or you can tune into a live stream by Anna and learn about stress.
Exactly.
So that's the first thing. I understand we need to stay up to date with what is happening, but cut down the consumption of news. We can choose the content we consume. So there's a lot of positive things on YouTube. There's a lot of positives on Netflix. So choose positive content.
Exactly. So we need to focus on that, and not, I believe, not only positive, but things that will help us grow
Yeah.
personally and professionally.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, YouTube is a perfect teacher nowadays. There's so much stuff out there for you to learn,
And for
Uh,
free, most of them.
exactly, exactly. So yeah, I mean, if you're in lockdown, take this opportunity to learn a new skill. That's it's an amazing opportunity that we have. That
Yeah, that we didn't have before.
no, exactly, yeah. Another thing that I think, which if you're in a lockdown now, Ramiro, that's a very sympathetic guy. I like your comment. Ramiro, you seem like a nice guy to me as well. Yeah.
He's awesome.
Another thing that I recommend everyone to do is, if you're in lockdown now, take this turn to learn one way of meditating or mental training. And this is also free using technology. You can just search on YouTube, guided meditations. There's so many different ones. I'm certified in mental training, and mental training is my base, but I also work with many other meditations, and I normally do like 2 every day. But during this Corona times, I'm trying to increase, maybe do 3, 4, spend more time in that meditative state. I just did a course about heart math, about
Oh yeah,
it's amazing stuff,
I heard of it. I haven't done it, but I heard of
Yeah.
it, and it sounds really interesting.
Yeah, they actually have a free online course if you go to heartmath.org. They normally sell it for $40, but they gave it away for free now during Corona times. So I just went through it, and it's amazing stuff, So that's another way. I normally say, when I do public speaking, I normally say, a lot of people do physical training, but not that many do mental training or meditations. In the old days, you had to go somewhere to a guru to learn. Like the Beatles, they flew to India in the 70s to learn meditation, or maybe it was in the 60s to learn meditation.
With Paramahansa Yogananda, one of my mentors, my dear
Oh, really?
professors, my teachers. I
Yeah.
love Paramahansa. Yeah.
And did you ever meet him?
No, he died in the. When did he die?
Exactly. But so you
A very
learned
long time ago,
you
50s,
learned
I think,
from him through
from
technology,
him.
right?
Exactly.
Did you use
And his
YouTube to
books.
learn? Yeah, exactly.
No, but his book and then
Okay,
online,
okay.
but online
Yeah,
things, yeah,
yeah. So
definitely.
so 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 that's what I normally say, that in the 60s the Beatles had to fly all the way to India to learn his meditation techniques, but now you can just go to YouTube and search his name, or go to
Exactly.
Amazon and Audible and download his audiobooks and listen. So yeah, that's another way to use technology to learn how to, because there's so much research on meditations and mental training. I mean, we know that if you do it, you will feel better. So now, if you're stuck at
Yeah.
home, there's no excuse.
No, there's no excuse.
Yeah.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
I'm writing here the name of the book of
Yeah.
Paramahansa Yogananda. So if anyone would like to read it, it's a really, really good book. And
Yeah.
especially if you're spiritual or religious, it compares the 5 main religions in the world. And
Yeah.
he talks about his life.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting book.
Can you tag me on the Facebook, because someone was saying that they couldn't see.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. Thank
yeah.
you. Hold on.
So it comes on my thread as well. Um,
Okay.
yeah. So it's so easy to. This is the good side of the technology, that we have the opportunity to share positive positive news. Now you and me met, and now we're connected. We're sitting in different parts of the world, and we can share these things that are
Exactly.
positive. And that's what I see the advantage of technology.
Exactly. No, we can bring people together, and we can bring knowledge to one place, and it helps a lot. I want to share with you guys the comments that our audience is telling us. So Ramiro was saying that dealing with something quite new, taking the first step is hard, and that's what's happening with fear and worry, and especially nowadays. That what do we do? I mean, the world as we knew it doesn't exist anymore and will not exist anymore. It's just how are we going to cope with it? And a skill that's really needed right now is resilience, and to take one day at a time, because we will have good days and we will have bad days of dealing with what's going on, because we don't know what will evolve from all of this.
Yeah.
And I've been talking, in other with other people in other Facebook lives and with my clients and in my community that um, the economical, the health, and the government systems don't work anymore. It's not that they're good or bad; they don't work to this new reality that coronavirus is bringing up to our lives. So now that, and we're talking about here about mental training, and it's completely linked with technology. Now is the time more than ever to work on the mind. Is the most important thing. And I completely agree with Oscar that if you're not meditating, if you don't know how to meditate, that's the most important thing you have to do right now. Breathing and meditating. And then start using technology in your favor. As Oscar was recommending, start a new course, something that you never thought about doing or that you wanted to do in your bucket list and you haven't started, like taking a photography course or learning more about social media, or I don't know, whatever your passion is that you haven't started fulfilling, do it. Now is the time, especially that there are very good prices and some trainings are even for free right now because people are helping each other. And this is a time of we. We're moving from the I to the we. The other day I was talking in a community. We were having a training, and they said this beautiful sentence. They say, "I is for illness, we is for wellness," and we are moving to wellness.
Yeah.
So it's a rough change, and it's going to
Yeah.
hurt, but
Yeah.
it's for something better for all of us. So
Yeah.
you know,
Exactly.
fear. It has to be there, and it will be. It's part of our nature,
Yeah.
but try to calm the mind, connect with your emotions. What you're feeling is very important in this time. Ramiro is saying that he has found whenever he's fearful to take the first step, to not think too much about it, but just do it. And you'll discover it's not so hard, or you'll learn about doing better anyway. You win.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with Ramiro, and I have an online course about procrastination. And when you talk about procrastination, many times it's good to break it down to small steps and just take the first step. And for example, now I'm doing physical training at home. So I'm doing kettlebells at home, and it's not always fun. It's like when you think about
Not
it. When I think about
necessarily.
training, it's like, but then I just break it down. So the first step is to put out the mat and put the kettlebell on the mat. So that's what I have here. First step,
Exactly.
and then second step, and then once you start doing it, it's fine. And then after you feel
Yeah.
great. But when
Yeah.
I
You're
still
not
think about, oh shit, I need to exercise, then
exactly.
yeah.
You're not
So
talking about doing. I mean, you're not visualizing yourself doing it. You're visualizing yourself putting the mat and the kettlebells first.
exactly. So just the first step, which is similar with the Ramiro's saying with being fearful. Take the
Yeah,
first step.
yeah. And
Yeah.
it helps us move forward. And as he said, sometimes we believe that fear or what we have in our mind is not as bad as what's happening. When we start doing it, we realize, oh, this wasn't as hard or as crazy or as difficult as I was thinking. Now that I'm doing it, I'm learning a lot. So it's. I think we need to be curious about it. When we feel fear, it's fair and it's good, and we have to recognize that we're
Yeah.
feeling it. But okay, what? And sometimes a question I like to ask myself, and I recommend people, my clients and everybody, is what's the worst thing that can happen? I mean, if you have fear, I mean,
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
the worst scenario for you? And when you think about it, sometimes you can say, it's not as bad as I was imagining, like fear, 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 fear. When you
Yeah.
put down what the worst scenario might be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I do the same thing with my clients. What's the worst thing that can happen? Could you deal with that? And what will be the lessons if that happen? And once you taken that away, like that's the worst case scenario, and most probably that scenario is not going to happen. So then
Mhm.
you're fine. That.
Exactly.
um,
No, and
a couple
sometimes
of
even prepare. Okay,
yeah,
have a
yeah, yeah.
BCP, a business continuity plan for if it happens, and then
Mm,
you just, and
mm,
you can move forward with that.
yeah, yeah. No,
Mm.
a few things that came to mind, and one was that 100 years ago, no
Mm-hmm.
one was doing any physical training. No one was doing any physical exercise because
Mm-hmm.
work was quite
Mm-hmm.
physical.
Exactly.
So you didn't need to, like, when you come home after working the fields or whatever you did, you were quite tired,
Yeah.
uh, and now everyone is doing physical training. But in 10 years from now, I think everyone will do some kind of mental training, because we need, our minds when we work are so stimulated, so we need to disconnect with some kind of meditation. So back to that part, that was just
Exactly.
one reflection. Yeah, another thing with the fear and worry, that when you that the when you're in fear, like the action signal. What I mean is, for example, if you're crossing the street and a road is coming and a
Mm-hmm.
car is coming and it's almost hitting you, you're gonna act.
Of course.
It's the neocortex is get bypassed. It goes straight to the reptile brain, and you act. It's the same when you
Correct.
were in the jungle, 100,000 years ago. If
Mm-hmm.
lion comes, you don't worry about it. You don't think like, oh, is this lion gonna eat me, or is
No,
this gonna? You
it's
act. So
cortisol. In
exactly.
its maximum speed.
Exactly, you act. So when you worry, it's like sitting thinking, oh, if the lion is going to come, is he going to come? I don't know. It's a waste of time. So we need to learn to deal with this worry and let go. And
Exactly,
so,
exactly. And yeah, to share a bit about what our audience is saying, Ramiro said, love this phrase. I think you said about the I and the we that I mentioned. And yeah, it's an amazing phrase. And then Arsal said is here. He's from Pakistan. So great to have you here, Sarsiet. I hope I said your name correct because I'm still learning.
mhm,
And Ramiro said, that's a great question. What's the worst that can happen? Can you live with that?
yeah.
Golden nuggets,
Mm.
really. Thank you. Yeah, yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And for our audience that joined a little bit later, we're talking about technology and stress with Oscar Andermo. He's a Swedish certified coach, mental trainer, NLP practitioner, sorry, speaker, writer, and expert in technology. If you're stressed out about what's going on, you can schedule a 20-minute virtual coffee with me and we can discuss what you're dealing with and help you out. So I'm going to leave you the link below on the chat box if you're interested in doing a 20-minute free virtual coffee with me. And to the audience, I want to ask you, um, with worry, I mean, we were talking about fear and worry, they come together. But if you can share with us. Oh, sorry, before I say this, Ramiro is asking, with what has been your scariest experience with technology, Oscar?
What scariest experience with technology?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I mean, the when I said earlier that I wrote this blog post for iPhone Life, and it
Mm-hmm.
was it was basically about digital discipline. How to turn your phone off and leave your phone at home sometimes, and that's the one that got the most likes. That's when I started realize that actually these applications, they are not neutral. Until that time I was always saying the applications are neutral. You are the master. But the
Mm-hmm.
applications are not really neutral. They're more like a drug, like a cocaine or something. They are built to suck you in. They're built to make you addicted. So you need to be really careful and really need to take control. And there's a couple of things with technology that causes stress, and basically 5 major things. And I'll just go through it
Mm-hmm.
quickly. First of all, the distractions. We are constantly
Mm-hmm.
distracted. There's constantly things going on. The other thing is it goes really fast. It continuously to change all the time. I mean, now we're talking like this. Maybe next time we're doing virtual reality. So it keeps changing. And if you're in business, you need to be up to date. Like
Mm-hmm.
suddenly, everyone's talking about Snapchat. Okay, do you need to? If you have a business, do I need to be on Snapchat? And then everyone starts talking about TikTok. So it goes
Yeah.
really fast. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I work with coaching leaders and entrepreneurs, and you need to stay up to date with
Yeah.
this. And this can be quite stressful.
It
Especially
is.
for the little bit older CEOs, they see
Mm-hmm.
that they don't follow the technology anymore. So that's another
Mm-hmm.
thing. So distractions and the rapid change. Sleep can start to get affected if you're
Mm-hmm.
using the technology too close to sleep. And they've done a lot of studies to this, like teenagers today, they have the phone sometimes under the pillow or always like a arm's reach away.
Yeah.
And when your sleep starts to get affected, then that's not good for your stress levels.
Mm-hmm.
Work-life balance.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to my mom's office in the 80s, sometimes I think back about that time. She had a typewriter, and she had a phone.
That's
And then it's like, how did you work without a computer? you know, it's interesting thought experiment. Like, how did you start your day? Like, you had a coffee and then you called someone, or what did you do? So nowadays there's no work-life balance because work is always with you. A couple of months ago, I had a consultancy client that I took from Dubai to Stockholm,
Mm-hmm.
and we were connected over WhatsApp. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's a great client. I love her. We had a lot of fun. Everything went well, but she's quite demanding. She expects a
Mm-hmm.
lot from me as a supplier. So
Mm-hmm.
she could send me things on WhatsApp 24 hours, weekends, doesn't matter. So,
Mm-hmm.
and if I don't respond, she's like, hey, and eventually she will call. So
Mm-hmm.
there's no work-life balance anymore, and that's
Mm-hmm.
another of these challenges. And then the last one, which is also a big problem, maybe more for younger people, for teenagers, is the
Mm-hmm.
social comparison. That
Sure.
there's a lot of studies now showing that after those ones that are born after 95,
Mm-hmm.
from 2012, suicides and depression, this is studied in US, has skyrocketed, especially among women. So girls, it's
Wow.
been like tripled, suicides, depression, not feeling part of people. And they say
Mm-hmm.
that this generation is the first generation that before they entered high school, they had a smartphone, they had an Instagram account. And as a teenager, you're 14, 15, you look at Instagram, everyone looks perfect. You have these models that get so many likes and so many comments, and they spent the whole day taking 2,000 pictures with all this makeup on, and they chose one, and they uploaded that one as this is my day. And then this teenager compares themselves, and that's another big problem. So these are the things that we need to take care of and deal with. And there's the
It's complicated. It's
yeah, exactly,
complicated.
yeah.
And Ramiro, that's here with us. He's an expert in different, like the difference among generations. And as he's saying, distractions keeps changing so fast, quite stressful. Others, then the teenagers, they know everything. So they say hi to your phone before to your wife. I mean, it's
Mm,
too crazy, and
yeah,
it is affecting every generation in different ways. For the
yeah,
older
yeah.
generations, they're not up to speed, and for
Mm,
the younger generations, it's like they don't know what's life without technology.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
And
we are in that generation in the middle that we
yeah,
knew what was life without
yeah,
technology.
yeah. We've seen both sides, I think.
Yeah.
you know Another thing with the technology and teenage, and one of the reasons increased even more with girls, they say
Hmm.
that with teenage boys, they are more physical when they bully other people, they're more physical,
Hmm.
whereas
Yeah,
girls can be more psychologically when they bully, and that has moved online.
exactly.
So now, even if you go home from school, you be bullied 24 hours because you can send things on, say mean comments, and so yeah, it's not so easy to be a teenager. Uh,
No, not at all. I mean, yeah.
yeah. One recommendation that they say is that the average of spending time on the phone, this is from US, is about 2.5 to 3 hours a day.
Hmm.
And if you they did studies. If you go below 2 hours a day, it actually has a positive effect on you. You interact more with other people. So they say just some small boundaries with your kids and technology. You don't have to take the phone away from them, but
Hmm.
just like some small boundaries. Like, listen, now we have dinner, no phones by the dinner table, or
Hmm.
So just some small boundaries that helps a lot, actually.
Perfect. No, I love
Mm,
that recommendation, especially, for our audience that has teenage kids or kids that are becoming teenagers, because anyway, they already, I mean, I see children very young or already having a mobile phone. So yeah.
yeah. Goes
Yeah.
younger and younger.
So tell us, I want to ask, if the audience wants to share, I mean, if you have questions for Oscar, this is the time. So please ask them. And tell us, how have you used technology? And this is a question to the audience, to help you out in your life. I want to hear about what has helped you nowadays with technology. And while the audience is telling us that, I want to ask you, Oscar, what tools can you recommend us so technology help us to live a better life instead of stressing us out?
Yeah. No, I mean the first step is awareness about these things and just
Mhm.
knowing it, and then there's some action steps that you need to take. And normally, when I do keynotes about this, I recommend everyone to have 1 hour with their phone on flight mode
Mhm.
during dinner time. Just between 6 and 7 in Sweden, we have early dinners. In Guatemala, I guess you
Mhm.
have dinner later, but during
No,
the
here is early as well. It's
oh
not.
really? Ah,
Yeah, here
okay.
is
Yeah.
between, depending on the families, but it's between 6 or 8.
Oh,
If
really?
it's
Ah, similar to Sweden. I thought it was this
Yeah,
Latin. Okay.
yeah. No, no,
So
not in Guatemala. In other countries, they have late
yeah.
dinners. Here is
Okay. No. So
earlier.
so so that time, everyone puts their phone on flight mode, and that's the rule. And then you have at least 1 hour with where you talk to each other. That's one thing that I always recommend. And
Hmm.
and I'm not negative to technology and say it's the user. We need to take control, and it's not the time we spend; it's how we spend the time.
Hmm.
So you can use the phone to learn to meditate, or you can use the phone to do social comparison and constantly check social media, constantly get distracted. So it's how we use it. So we need to learn how to use it, and that's habits. And there's a whole personal development stuff around this, like build good habits around technology. For example,
Hmm.
in the office, I tend to work with a timer.
Hmm.
So I have a digital timer in my computer, and
Hmm.
I work with 50-minute slots and then a 10-minute break. And those 50 minutes, I just pick one thing on my to-do list and I focus 100% on it. I put on some classic music, or even I also have this like brain training music that
Brain
puts
tune. Oh, that's amazing to
yeah,
concentrate.
for focus. And that's also technology. It's positive use of technology. So you put
Yeah.
this 50 minutes productivity, 10 minutes break, and then you do 2 blocks of those, and you get so much done.
Yeah.
uh,
And now that you mentioned this, I want to give a tip to the audience. We're a bit about over the time. We're 3 minutes over the time, but I think it's been very interesting, and all the questions and comments the audience is giving is helping us. But there's studies that it's in between 50 and 1 hour is the time that you're really focused on something. So it's very important to take a break after that time. Otherwise, you continue, but you're not being as efficient as you would like to. So it's very important to do a break, grab a bottle of water, a glass of water, go to the toilet, stretch, breathe, whatever that helps you, but to kind of like bring your mind to a new mindset, so to start another block of 50 minutes or 45. So
mm.
please continue, Oscar. Just a
Yeah,
short
no,
one.
that's yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And another thing that I've done with the timer lately is whenever I want to check the news, because I do want to stay up to date. Like there's we're in a curfew in Dubai, so I want to check like how much time are we allowed to go out, and what can we do. Uh, I start timing those as well, because it's very easy to end up looping the internet. All the entertainment in the
True.
world is on there. So it's very easy.
It's
I'm just
true.
gonna go check Facebook. I'm just gonna check Instagram, then YouTube,
Yeah. Let's
and
check
then
the
you
gossip.
exactly, and then 2 hours later, like, oh my god, I haven't done anything. So it's quite
Exactly.
easy to fall into that trap. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
normally like to tend to put the timer on also for checking the news and also for checking social media. So
Mhm.
like now I have 40 minutes. I'm gonna check YouTube, social media, and after the timer is gone, I go back to being productive.
Mhm. Here is Ramiro is saying a very good tip that he gives his millennials clients, that whenever he coaches them, he makes rules of not having a technology break every half an hour to minimize their addiction to the mobile phone. So I think that's really good.
Yeah.
It's a really good thing. And for the centennials, that's the next generation after them, it's even more complicated, because they were born with the mobile in their hand.
Yeah, exactly. They don't. When they
They
get a
don't
newspaper,
know.
they try to swipe. They
Of
get a
course.
magazine.
Of course. Or a book.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So yeah. So I have awareness, 1 hour phone on flight mode during dinner time, and is how we use the technology, learn how and create healthy and good habits. And the other thing you recommend is use a timer to plan your day and activities, so we make a better use of technology. Is there something else you would recommend us to do?
Yeah, there's one thing that is one of the most popular concepts that I've been talking about, and it's I mean, everyone talks about the importance of gratefulness. All the religions talk about it. All the spiritual people talk about the importance of being grateful. So it's very easy now to, we have thousands of pictures in the phone. So just make a gratefulness folder on your phone. But take out all the pictures of the loved ones, of the nice memories you have, put them in a separate folder, and a gratefulness folder. Then whenever when you feel that fear and worry, just take out your phone, you go through your gratefulness folder, you look at all the people you love, all the cool things you've done. That's one
I
thing. And
love that tip. I love that. I will implement it right away after this
yeah.
call.
And one more note to that.
Mm-hmm.
I have another one I call magic moments. So
Mm-hmm.
every month I collect magic moments. So whatever I do, I do something. We were in the Congress in Gävle, for example. I had so many nice memories from that time. I take those pictures, I put them in my magic moments pictures. I've done this for the last 4 or 5 years. I have hundreds of pictures of things that I've done throughout the years. Whenever I want to get into a gratefulness state, I can just open my magic moments folder. I can go back to 2 years ago, I was skiing with my friends in Sweden. I'll just go back to the memory. I close my eyes. I see myself there. I feel my body with those emotions. And it's like, boom, right
Yeah.
back. Anna, you need to make a folder when you were in Stockholm, because I think you had a nice day in Stockholm, no?
Oh yeah, I know. I love it. I love it. I love Sweden. I fell in love. Everything was amazing. So
Yeah,
yeah.
but you went in the summer, so the
Yeah,
winter
that's
is
true.
dark
That's
and
true. No,
cold.
no, no. I don't picture myself going in winter, especially that I went to the ice hotel. I wouldn't go
Yeah,
there, even
yeah,
if they pay me to go in winter.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, but collect magic moments. It's a great way of reconnecting to, because Jim Rohn, which is one of my favorite thinkers, he likes to say that life is a collection of experiences, frequency and intensity.
Definitely.
So collect those magic moments and reconnect with them to come back in the same positive emotional state.
Definitely. I love that. No, I wrote down everything you said and I shared with the audience, so you can write down those tips and start doing it, implement them in your life, so technology will work in your favor and your stress will lower. Where I'm not saying minimize. I don't like to say, let's minimize stress. It doesn't exist like that. Stress is something good. It can be something good in your life if we really learn how to use it in our favor. It's like technology. We need to be aware in technology, not to be addicted. And we are, unfortunately. So, how to minimize this addiction and
Yeah.
work it in our favor, right, Oscar? I don't know if you want to share something else with
No,
our
I
audience.
think we can leave it at that. I hope some of these techniques are useful for you, and I hope we get out of this Corona stuff soon, and do when we are in these times that we use it, make the best use of it, and
Yeah.
learn something and come out as better human beings.
Yeah. I hope that too. I really believe we will. and we have to stick together now. So I want to thank our audience for your participation, especially Ramiro. You were really, really active, and I love that when the audience is very active and commenting, asking everything. It's great. So I invite you all to do that every time you join us, because your questions are very important. And the idea of this Facebook Live is to help you, bring you tools that will help your life be better and find the balance and the well-being you're looking for. So thank you, audience, for this amazing Facebook Live. My name is Ana Stephanie Munoz. I'm a transformational stress management coach. Thanks, Oscar, for your time. As always, it's been an honor to have you here and to see you again on a distance, you in Dubai, me in Guate. So I want to say some final words. Is that if you haven't joined my 21-day challenge, I'm doing it in Spanish though. So for the people that don't speak Spanish, I'm going to give you the link if you want to join the 21-day challenge. It's going on right now, and this challenge is helping people lower their stress levels. Why? Recognizing what's going on in their lives, how they want to handle this situation, and what to do about it. Because, it's not easy. It's being very hard for all of us. So we need to do a lot of internal work. And one of the things that's very important, as Oscar was saying, is meditation. So I'm going to leave the link there for you guys to join. And I want to thank you again, Oscar. It was amazing. And I wish you all the best. And for people in Guatemala and Latin America, Feliz Semana Santa. We're Holy Week starting today,
Yeah.
yesterday, some countries. So these next days is going to be vacation home since we're in lockdown. So enjoy this time with your family and start doing things that will change your life for the better. So thank you, Oscar. I don't know if you have some final words to our audience.
No, thank you. It was fun. Thank you for taking the time, and yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure having you here. So, goodbye, everybody, and we'll see you soon.